Imaging finding a rare coin so rare it could pay off your house today, we're diving into 10 of the most valuable U.S. coins ever found. Real coins worth hundreds and even millions of dollars or more. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss the next rare find. Let's start this.
We are diving deep into one specific coin that has quietly captured the attention of collectors across the country, the 1971 no-mint mark Lincoln 1-cent penny from the United States of America. At first glance, it looks like any other ordinary cent. But under the right conditions, with the right quality, this humble coin can be worth far more than 1 cent. The 1971 Lincoln penny belongs to the long-running Lincoln cent series that began in 1909 to honor President Abraham Lincoln. The obverse of the coin features the familiar portrait of Lincoln, originally designed by Victor David Brenner. For many Americans, this image is one of the most recognizable in all of U.S. coinage. The reverse of the 1971 penny still carries the Lincoln Memorial design, which had replaced the wheat reverse in 1959. That Lincoln Memorial reverse, designed by Frank Gasparo, remained in production until 2008. Now, let's focus specifically on the 1971 penny with no mint mark. When a Lincoln cent from 1971 does not carry a mint mark below the date, that means it was struck at the Philadelphia Mint. During that time period, the Philadelphia Mint did not use a mint mark on cents. So the absence of a mint mark is not an error, it is simply an indication of its origin. In 1971, the Philadelphia Mint produced over 1.9 billion Lincoln cents. That is an enormous mintage. Because of this, most 1971 no-mint mark pennies you find in circulation are extremely common and typically worth only face value. However, here is where things start to get interesting. Condition is everything in the coin market. While worn examples are common, pristine uncirculated examples in top grades are much more difficult to find. The 1971 penny is composed of 95% copper and 5% zinc. That gives it a rich reddish tone when it is preserved in original mint state condition. Collectors often refer to color designations such as brown, and red. A fully red example that has never been circulated and has retained its original mint luster is far more desirable than a coin that has darkened or been heavily handled. As coins circulate, they pick up scratches, contact marks, and dull surfaces. But a small number of 1971 no-mint mark pennies were set aside, carefully stored, and protected from wear. These coins, when graded by professional grading services like PCGS or NGC, can achieve high mint state grades such as MS65, MS66, or even higher. In these elite grades, the value can rise dramatically. Another factor that can increase the value of a 1971 penny is the presence of errors. Error coins are highly collectible because they are unexpected and rare. Some 1971 no-mint mark pennies show double die characteristics, where parts of the design appear slightly doubled due to a misalignment in the die during production. Look carefully at the date and the word Liberty. If you notice strong, clear doubling that is not just machine doubling but true hub doubling, you could be looking at a valuable variety. There are also off-center strikes, clipped planchets, and die cracks that can make a 1971 penny stand out. An off-center strike occurs when the blank planchet is not properly aligned when struck, leaving part of the design missing. The more dramatic the off-center error, while still retaining the full date, the more desirable it becomes to collectors. Let's talk about grading in more detail, because this is where many people underestimate their coins. A 1971 no-mint mark Lincoln cent in circulated condition might only be worth 1 to a few cents. But an example graded MS67 red is a completely different story. At that level, we are talking about a coin that is nearly flawless under magnification. The surfaces must be clean, the strike must be sharp, and the color must be vibrant. High-grade coins are rare not because they were never made, but because most were released into circulation and used in everyday transactions. Think about how many pennies were dropped into vending machines, cash registers, and piggy banks. Finding one that survived untouched for over 5 decades is not easy. The copper composition also adds another layer of appeal. With rising metal prices over the years, many collectors and investors pay attention to pre-1982 Lincoln cents because they contain a higher copper content compared to later zinc-based cents. While melting coins for metal value is restricted by law, the intrinsic copper content still adds a sense of underlying value. Now imagine this scenario. Someone in 1971 receives a roll of fresh pennies from the bank. They notice the bright red shine and decide to put that roll away in a drawer. Decades later, that same roll is discovered. If those coins remain in superb condition, they could be worth significantly more than face value today. Auction records show that when collectors compete for top population coins, meaning the highest graded examples known, prices can soar. Registry set collectors are especially aggressive. These are individuals who aim to assemble the finest known set of Lincoln cents. When only a handful of coins exist in the highest grade, bidding wars can erupt, but here is the important part for you. You do not need to be a professional numismatist to start checking your coins. All you need is a magnifying glass, good lighting, and patience. Examine the date. Look for crisp details in Lincoln's hair. Check the Lincoln Memorial steps on the reverse. Sharp, clear steps can indicate a stronger strike, which is often desirable. Be cautious about cleaning your coins. Cleaning can significantly reduce value. Even if a coin looks dull or dirty, leave it as it is. Professional graders prefer original surfaces. A cleaned coin, even in high grade, may receive a details grade instead of a straight numeric grade. Storage also matters. If you believe you have a high-quality 1971 no-mint mark penny, place it in a protective holder. Avoid touching the surfaces with your bare fingers. Oils from your skin can cause spotting or discoloration over time. The story of the 1971 Lincoln cent is a reminder that value is often hidden in plain sight. Billions were made, yet only a tiny fraction remain in exceptional condition. That scarcity at the highest levels is what drives serious money in the coin market. For viewers between 30 and 65 years old who are looking to turn old coins into real financial opportunities, this is your call to action. Start with what you already have. Check old jars, family collections, inherited coin albums. Sometimes the most overlooked coins hold the greatest surprises. Do not assume that because a coin is common, it cannot be valuable. The difference between a 1-cent coin and a collectible treasure often comes down to grade, color, and rarity within that grade. Knowledge is power in numismatics. The more you learn about specific dates and varieties, the better positioned you are to spot hidden gems. And remember, markets change. Collector demand rises and falls. As more people become aware of high-grade modern coins, competition increases. That can push prices even higher for the finest known examples. So the next time you see a 1971 Lincoln penny with no mint mark, do not dismiss it. Take a closer look. Study the surfaces. Examine the details. Consider having exceptional pieces authenticated and graded by a reputable third-party service. A small investment in grading could unlock significant value. We're diving deep into the United States 1960 Lincoln 1-cent penny. Not just as a coin, but as an opportunity. An overlooked treasure. A doorway from pocket change to serious cash. And if you are between 30 and 65, living in the United States, with a drawer full of old coins or a jar of forgotten pennies, this message is especially for you. This is not just about coins. This is about possibility. Act 1 begins with a simple scene. Imagine a typical American home in the 1960s. The year is 1960. The economy is expanding. Families are growing. And millions upon millions of pennies are being struck at the Denver Mint. That small D under the date tells the story. The 1960 Lincoln cent was minted in huge numbers. On the surface, it seems common. Ordinary. Forgettable, but here's where the story shifts. In 1960, something unusual happened at the mint. There were two distinct date styles produced, the small date and the large date varieties. Even more exciting, some of these coins were struck with repunched mint marks and other minting anomalies. When machinery was adjusted, when dies were replaced, when mint workers corrected mistakes, tiny differences were created. And those tiny differences are where serious collectors focus their attention. Have you ever wondered why one coin sells for 1 cent and another sells for hundreds or even thousands of dollars? What makes the difference? Is it luck? Is it timing? Or is it knowledge? The 1960D small date penny is one of those coins that turns heads in the numismatic world. In high grades, especially in mint state conditions like MS-65, MS-66, or even higher, this coin can command impressive prices. And when you combine a small date variety with strong luster, sharp details, and minimal contact marks, collectors compete aggressively. Now let's pause for a moment. How many of you have ever rolled your eyes at a penny on the ground? Be honest. Have you ever thought, it's just a penny? What if that penny was a 1960D small date in exceptional condition? Would you still walk past it? This is where fear quietly enters the room. Fear of missing out. Fear that you may have already spent something valuable. Fear that a coin worth real money slipped through your fingers because no one told you what to look for, but fear is only powerful if it paralyzes you. Today, we use it as fuel. Act 2 is where the transformation happens. This is where knowledge turns into strategy. Because knowing that a 1960D Lincoln penny can be valuable is only the beginning. The real question is, how do you identify the right one? How do you sell old rare coins? How do you turn pocket change into profit? First, understand condition. Coin grading is everything. A circulated 1960D penny that has been through decades of transactions may only be worth a few cents. But a sharply struck, red, uncirculated example with blazing copper color can be worth dramatically more. Collectors pay premiums for original red surfaces, strong eye appeal, and high technical grades. Second, understand errors. Repunched mint marks, die clashes, double dies, and off-center strikes add another layer of value. Errors are not flaws in the marketplace. They are stories frozen in metal. And collectors love stories. They love rarity. They love competition. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you examined your coin under a magnifying glass? Have you checked for a small date versus a large date? Have you compared the shape of the 6 and the spacing of the numbers? Or are those coins still sitting in a jar, waiting? Here's a pattern interrupt for you. Imagine telling your neighbor that you're studying pennies with a magnifier. They might laugh. They might joke. But what happens when that same penny sells at auction for a surprising sum? Suddenly, it's not a joke. It's a smart move, and that brings us to one of the biggest questions viewers ask: how do I sell old rare coins in the USA? How do I sell coins safely and profitably? Should I go to a local coin shop? Should I choose a major auction house? Should I list online? The answer is strategy. If you believe your 1960D penny is high grade or has a significant error, professional grading is often the first step. Third-party grading services authenticate and encapsulate your coin, giving buyers confidence. Confidence increases bidding. Bidding increases price. Price changes your outcome. Auction houses create excitement. Competitive bidding environments can push prices far beyond expectations when two collectors want the same coin. That's how maximum dollar results happen. Not by guessing. Not by rushing. But by positioning your coin where serious buyers are watching. Local coin shops offer convenience and speed. Auctions offer exposure and potential upside. Online marketplaces offer reach. Each path has power when used wisely. So ask yourself, are you selling from emotion, or from knowledge? Are you accepting the first offer, or are you building leverage? Act 3 is about connection. About vision. About the bigger picture. The 1960D Lincoln penny is more than copper and zinc. It is a symbol of hidden opportunity. Most people overlook small things. But wealth often begins with small things handled intelligently. One coin. One discovery. One smart decision. From pocket change to millions is not a fantasy. It is a mindset. It begins with awareness. It continues with education. And it accelerates with action. Imagine sorting through your coins tonight. Imagine finding a bright red 1960D small date penny in near perfect condition. Imagine sending it for grading. Imagine watching bidders compete. Imagine seeing the final hammer price exceed your expectations. How would that feel? What would that mean for you? A vacation? An investment? A sense of accomplishment? Here's another question. If you never check, what is the cost? If you never learn how to sell old and rare coins, what opportunity remains hidden? There is urgency here. Not panic. Not pressure. But urgency. Because coins change hands every day. Collections get broken up. Estate sales happen. Markets fluctuate. Demand rises when quality examples become scarce. High-grade coins are always in demand. Always watched. Always sought after, and the 1960 Lincoln 1-cent penny, especially in top-tier condition or with desirable errors, continues to attract attention from collectors who understand rarity within commonality. Let's connect this story back to you. You are not just watching a video about a penny. You are learning a framework. Identify. Verify. Grade. Position. Sell strategically. Repeat. How do you make money from coins? By recognizing what others ignore. By asking questions others never ask. By acting when others hesitate. Are there millions of 1960 pennies? Yes. Are there millions in pristine, high-grade, small-date red condition? Absolutely not. Scarcity at the top creates value. And value attracts competition. So tonight, open that drawer. Pour out that jar. Look carefully at every 1960 Lincoln cent. Examine the date. Check the mint mark. Study the surfaces. Ask yourself. We are diving deep into the 1967 no mint mark Lincoln 1 cent, a coin that most people ignore, but seasoned collectors watch closely. And if you are between 30 and 65, living in the United States, thinking about how to sell old rare coins, how to make money from coins, or even how to turn pocket change into something life-changing, then this story was made for you. Let's step back to the year 1967. America was in the middle of transformation. Silver had just been removed from circulating dimes and quarters in 1965. Coin shortages were frustrating banks and businesses. To discourage hoarding and speculation, the U.S. Mint made a bold decision. From 1965 through 1967, they removed mint marks entirely. That means whether a coin was struck in Philadelphia, Denver, or San Francisco, it carried no identifying mint mark. The 1967 Lincoln cent was born into this unusual moment in American coinage history. Now here is where it becomes interesting. Because mint marks were removed, millions of Americans assumed these coins were common. They tossed them in drawers. They ignored them. They spent them on coffee. But within that ocean of copper-plated history, there are exceptional pieces. High-grade 1967 Lincoln cents, especially those with striking errors, have created waves in the collector market. And when condition meets rarity, value can skyrocket. Pause for a second. When was the last time you actually looked at a penny before spending it? Be honest. Did you check the date? Did you tilt it under light? Or did you treat it like a 1-cent afterthought? That is the difference between everyday spending and opportunity. The 1967 Lincoln cent features the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, designed by Victor David Brenner. The reverse still displays the classic wheat-free memorial design introduced in 1959. At first glance, nothing screams rare. Nothing announces wealth. And yet, in pristine condition, graded at the very highest levels by professional grading services, this coin can command astonishing sums. Condition is everything. A 1967 cent pulled from circulation with scratches, dull surfaces, and where is worth face value. But a sharply struck, blazing red example, preserved for decades without fingerprints or oxidation, is a different story. Collectors pay premiums for coins graded MS66, MS67, and beyond. Why? Because survival at that level is rare. Most coins were handled roughly. Most were spent. Very few were carefully saved in immaculate condition. Now let's add the powerful factor of mint errors. And this is where excitement truly begins. Off-center strikes. Double dies. Clipped planchets. Die cracks. Broad strikes. These are not imperfections in the eyes of collectors. They are unique fingerprints of the minting process. They transform an ordinary coin into a conversation piece. And in auctions across America, error coins ignite bidding wars. Imagine discovering that your 1967 penny is not just well preserved, but also struck slightly off-center with full date visible. That combination of dramatic visual appeal and clear identification is exactly what error specialists search for. The market responds strongly to eye-catching errors. Collectors are competitive. They do not want average. They want standout pieces. You might be wondering right now, how do I sell old rare coins in the USA and get maximum value? Should I go to a local coin shop? Should I list online? Should I approach a major auction house? These are powerful questions, and they matter because strategy determines profit. Act 1 of our journey is awareness. You now know that the 1967 no-mint Mark Lincoln cent exists within a unique historical window. You understand that condition and errors drive value. But awareness alone does not create wealth. Action does. Act 2 is discovery. This is the phase where you search. Check your old piggy banks. Open the jars in your garage. Ask your parents about stored rolls from the 1960s. Visit estate sales. Look through inherited collections. And when you examine a 1967 penny, pay attention to color. A bright red luster indicates minimal oxidation. Check for doubling in the lettering. Examine the rims. Rotate the coin under a strong light source. Small details can mean big money. Let me interrupt your scrolling mind with a simple question. If someone handed you $100 for every minute you carefully inspected coins tonight, would you do it? Of course you would. Yet the possibility of finding a rare high-grade 1967 cent could be worth far more. Sometimes opportunity hides behind patience. Professional grading is a crucial step in maximizing value. Third-party grading services authenticate and assign a numerical grade. This builds trust in the marketplace. Buyers are confident when they see a certified slab with a high grade. Confidence fuels higher bids. Higher bids mean stronger auction results. Speaking of auctions, how do you sell coins in auction shops? Major numismatic auction houses in the United States specialize in rare coins and error pieces. When a coin is rare, certified, and in demand, competitive bidding can push the final price far beyond expectations. Online auction platforms also provide national exposure. The key is presentation, timing, and understanding market demand. Here is where urgency comes in. The coin market moves in cycles. Interest in error coins and high-grade modern issues has been strong. Collectors who grew up in the 1960s now have disposable income. Nostalgia meets investment. Demand rises. When demand rises, premium examples bring premium prices. Waiting too long without proper evaluation could mean missing the right market window. Let's talk emotion. Fear and excitement are powerful forces. Fear whispers, what if I overlook something valuable? Excitement shouts, what if this penny changes everything? Both emotions can motivate smart action when guided by knowledge. The 1967 Lincoln cent without mint mark stands at the intersection of history and opportunity. It represents a time when the U.S. Mint experimented with policy. It represents billions minted, yet only a fraction surviving in elite condition. It represents the idea that everyday objects can hold extraordinary value. Now imagine this scenario. A collector submits a nearly flawless 1967 red cent to grading. It receives an elite mint state grade, one of the highest known. The auction catalog features it prominently. Bidders compete. The hammer falls at a record number. Headlines ripple through coin forums. Suddenly, people across America start checking their change. That is how markets ignite. How to make money from coins is not about luck alone. It is about education, patience, and positioning. Study population reports. Understand grading standards. Network with reputable dealers. Protect your coins properly in non-PVC holders. Store them in climate-controlled environments. Small steps preserve big value, and here comes another pattern interrupt. Have you ever thrown a penny into a fountain and made a wish? What if the real wish was sitting in your pocket the whole time? Funny how we sometimes toss away opportunity without noticing. Act 3 is transformation. This is where knowledge turns into profit. After identifying a high-quality or error 1967 cent, after authenticating and grading it, after choosing the right selling platform, you position yourself for maximum return. You do not rush. You do not undersell. You let the market compete. For viewers asking, how to sell old and rare coins in USA and its value in auction shop, the answer is clarity and preparation. Research recent auction results for comparable grades. Consult multiple professionals. Compare offers. What if I told you that a single penny, the kind you may have tossed into a jar, dropped between couch cushions, or handed over without a second thought, could be worth more than a luxury car? What if that small copper coin sitting quietly in your drawer right now holds the power to transform your financial future? Today, we are diving deep into one of the most fascinating and potentially profitable coins in American history, the 1968 mint mark Lincoln 1 cent. And not just any version, but the rare era varieties that have shocked collectors and auction houses alike. Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you may never look at your pocket change the same way again. Act 1 begins with a simple question. How many times have you seen a penny and thought, it's just 1 cent? That mindset is exactly why opportunities hide in plain sight. The 1968 South Lincoln 1 center was struck at the legendary San Francisco Mint during a time of transition in American coinage. The late 1960s were filled with economic shifts, minting changes, and evolving collector interest. And whenever there is change, there is opportunity. In 1968, proof pennies were produced in San Francisco with the S mint mark. These coins were specially struck for collectors, not intended for circulation. They were made with sharper detail, mirror-like fields, and frosted devices. But here's where the story gets powerful. Not every coin left the mint in perfect condition. Some carried dramatic minting errors. Some displayed double dies. Some had repunched mint marks. Some showed striking anomalies that today send collectors into bidding wars. Now let me ask you something directly. When was the last time you examined a 1968 penny under magnification? When was the last time you checked the lettering in Liberty or the date for doubling? Could there be a treasure hiding in your collection right now? The fear most people have is missing out. Imagine discovering that you once owned a rare era coin worth thousands, but spent it at a gas station decades ago. That fear is real. And it is exactly why knowledge is power in the coin market. The most valuable 1968 South Lincoln 1 center era coins are those with strong double die obverse features. On these rare pieces, you can see noticeable doubling in the date and inscriptions. The effect is not machine doubling. It is true hub doubling, created during the die manufacturing process. That difference alone can mean the difference between a 1-cent coin and a coin worth thousands. Collectors across the United States actively search for high-grade examples graded PR 69 or PR 70 by top grading services. When a flawless or near-flawless error coin surfaces, the excitement is immediate. Auction rooms become electric. Online bidding platforms light up. And suddenly, a coin that once sat quietly in a proof set becomes the center of attention. Now pause for a second. Picture this. You open an old safe deposit box. Inside is a small plastic case from 1968. You carefully open it and see that deep mirror shine. You tilt it under the light. And then you notice it. Slight doubling on the letters. Crisp details. Almost no imperfections. Your heart starts beating faster. Is this the one? This is where Act 2 intensifies. The middle of our story is about discovery and action. Because finding a potentially valuable 1968 Lincoln penny is only the beginning. The real transformation happens when you understand how to position it in the marketplace. How do you sell old rare coins in the USA and its value in auction shop settings? How do you move from curiosity to cash? How do you make money from coins without being taken advantage of? First, you must confirm authenticity and condition. Professional grading is not optional when you are dealing with high-value coins. Third-party grading companies authenticate, encapsulate, and assign a numerical grade. That grade can dramatically increase buyer confidence and final selling price. A certified high-grade 1968 error penny commands far more attention than a raw coin. Second, understand demand. The market for Lincoln cents is one of the strongest segments in American numismatics. The Lincoln cent series has been collected for generations. From children filling blue folders to serious investors building registry sets, the demand remains powerful. And when demand meets rarity, prices escalate. Here's a pattern interrupt for you. Be honest. Have you ever spent more time researching a television purchase than researching the coins you already own? It's almost funny, isn't it? We compare reviews for weeks before buying a gadget, but ignore assets that could multiply in value. The highest recorded sales for top condition 1968 proof error cents have reached astonishing levels when the coin combines rarity, strong eye appeal, and elite grade. These coins have crossed auction blocks for maximum dollar amounts that leave new collectors speechless. And every year, as fewer pristine examples remain undiscovered, competition intensifies. This is where urgency enters the conversation. The window of opportunity narrows as more collectors become educated. The more people searching, the harder it becomes to find undervalued pieces. Right now, while many Americans still overlook late 1960s proof coins, there is space for smart action, from pocket change to millions. It sounds dramatic. But consider this. Many legendary collections began with ordinary circulation finds. A disciplined approach, reinvestment of profits, and careful study turned small beginnings into life-changing portfolios. The coin market rewards patience, knowledge, and decisive moves. How to sell old rare coins successfully. Start locally by building relationships with reputable coin dealers. Visit coin shows. Get multiple opinions. But do not rush. High-value coins often perform best in major auctions where national and international buyers compete. Auction houses specialize in marketing rare coins to serious collectors willing to pay premium prices. How to make money from coins consistently. Focus on quality over quantity. Learn to identify key dates, error varieties, and condition rarities. Study auction results. Track population reports. When you recognize undervalued opportunities, act strategically. Let's connect something important here. The same discipline required to build wealth in business applies to coin collecting. Research. Risk management. Timing. Negotiation. The difference is that coins carry history in your hand. Now we move into Act 3, where everything converges. The 1968 South Lincoln 1 Center is more than copper and design. It represents overlooked potential. It represents the power of awareness. And it represents a challenge to you. Are you willing to check that jar of coins tonight? Are you willing to examine your proof sets carefully? Are you willing to learn the difference between machine doubling and true double die? Because someone will find the next great example. The only question is whether it will be you. We are diving into one of the most talked about coins among serious collectors of Lincoln cent history, the 1969 Lincoln penny. Not just any penny. Not just spare change. But a coin that, under the right circumstances, with the right error, in the right condition, has ignited bidding wars and electrified auction rooms across America. And here is the question you must ask yourself right now. Have you actually looked at your old pennies carefully? Or have you been unknowingly holding on to hidden wealth? This story unfolds in 3 powerful acts. Discovery. Realization. Transformation. In the late 1960s, America was in transition. The nation was adjusting to economic shifts, cultural change, and evolving minting technology. The United States Mint was producing millions upon millions of Lincoln cents for circulation. In 1969 alone, hundreds of millions of pennies rolled off the presses. Among them were coins struck at the Denver facility, proudly bearing the small D mint mark beneath the date. At first glance, the 1969 D Lincoln penny looks ordinary. The familiar profile of Abraham Lincoln faces right on the obverse. The reverse design of the memorial building appears strong and structured. Copper tone. Classic weight. Traditional design introduced decades earlier, but here's where excitement begins to build, because within that massive production, certain coins were struck with dramatic mint errors. And in the world of rare coins, errors are not mistakes. They are opportunities. Have you ever wondered why some coins sell for face value while others sell for tens of thousands? The answer lies in rarity, condition, and error. A standard 1969 D Lincoln cent in circulated condition may be worth only a small premium over face value. But a high-grade specimen with exceptional preservation can command serious collector attention. And then there are the error coins. Collectors search intensely for double dies, off-center strikes, die clashes, repunched mint marks, and other dramatic irregularities. When a coin leaves the mint with a bold, unmistakable error that survived quality control, it becomes instantly scarce. Scarcity creates demand. Demand creates competition. Competition creates astonishing prices. Imagine discovering that the letters in Liberty on your coin appear slightly doubled. Imagine noticing separation in the date. Imagine seeing strong machine doubling or a dramatic off-center strike that still shows the full date and mint mark. Would you toss it aside? Or would you recognize that you may be holding a treasure? Let me ask you directly. When was the last time you examined your pocket change under magnification? When was the last time you turned a coin slowly under bright light to inspect the date and mint mark? How many jars of pennies are sitting in American homes right now, completely unsearched? This is where fear and urgency step in. Because every year, thousands of potentially valuable coins are unknowingly spent at grocery stores, gas stations, and vending machines. Every year, hidden gems disappear back into circulation because their owners never took a closer look. The 1969 D Lincoln penny stands in high demand, especially in mint state grades. Coins graded MS-65, MS-66, and above by respected third-party grading companies draw serious interest. Collectors appreciate strong luster, sharp strike, and minimal contact marks. And when you combine top condition with a notable error, the value can rise dramatically. Auction houses across the United States have showcased rare Lincoln cents in high-profile sales. Competitive bidding environments create energy. Two determined buyers can push a coin's price far beyond conservative estimates. Why? Because elite collectors understand something powerful. Once a high-grade, error example enters a private collection, it may not resurface for years. Now imagine this scenario. You inherit a small box of coins from a relative. Most look ordinary. But one penny stands out. Bright surfaces. Strong details. A clear D mint mark. You examine it under magnification and notice unusual doubling in the lettering. Your heart starts beating faster. Could this be real? Could this be one of the sought-after varieties? This moment, that spark of possibility, is where transformation begins. Let's talk about how to sell old rare coins. How do you move from discovery to dollars? First, knowledge is power. You must understand what you have. Professional grading is often the gateway to serious value. Authentication protects you and reassures buyers. A certified coin encapsulated by a reputable grading service commands greater trust and often higher bids. Where should you sell? Auction houses. Reputable coin dealers. Online marketplaces. Each option has strengths. Major auction platforms bring global exposure. Specialized coin auctions attract serious collectors who understand rarity. Local coin shops provide convenience but may offer wholesale prices. The key is strategy. Have you compared auction records? Have you reviewed recent realized prices for similar 1969 D Lincoln cents in comparable grades? Have you asked yourself whether your coin might perform better in a competitive bidding environment rather than a quick private sale? How do you make money from coins? It begins with patience and research. It continues with preservation and proper storage. And it culminates in timing. Selling during strong collector demand can significantly impact final results, from pocket change to millions. Is that dramatic? Perhaps. But history has shown that rare coins have funded retirements, built investment portfolios, and created generational wealth. The coin market rewards those who look closer, act decisively, and understand rarity. Let's reset your attention for a moment. Quick question. If I handed you a penny right now, would you even glance at it? Or would you automatically assume it is worthless? That assumption is exactly why opportunities remain hidden. The 1969 D. Lincoln penny represents more than copper. It represents awareness. It represents the discipline to check what others ignore. It represents the courage to step into the world of numismatics with confidence. Collectors in the United States continue to show strong interest in key-date Lincoln cents and significant era varieties. Demand remains high because the Lincoln cent series is one of the most widely collected in American numismatics. Millions of hobbyists grew up searching through rolls of pennies. That nostalgia fuels modern demand. Now let's connect everything. Act 1 was discovery. You learned that the 1969 D. Lincoln penny is not automatically ordinary. You realized errors and condition matter deeply. Act 2 was realization. You understood that professional grading, market timing, and auction exposure can transform a coin's potential into real financial gain. Act 3 is transformation. This is where you act. This is where you examine your coins. This is where you stop underestimating the contents of your own home. Ask yourself again. How to sell old and rare coins in USA and its value in auction shop. The answer lies in preparation, authentication, strategic selling, and choosing platforms where collectors compete, not negotiate downward. How to sell coins successfully. Present them professionally. Document them clearly. Seek expert opinions. Compare multiple offers. Stay informed. How to make money from coins. Focus on rarity, condition, and demand. Learn continuously. Protect your assets. Think long-term. Because hiding among ordinary pocket change could be a small copper coin from the United States of America that has shocked collectors with its incredible value, the 1970 D Mint Mark Lincoln cent. At first glance, the 1970 D Lincoln 1-cent penny looks ordinary. It carries the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, a design that Americans have recognized for generations. Above his head is the word liberty. In front of him, the date 1970. And just beneath the date, a tiny but powerful letter, D. That small d tells us this coin was struck at the Denver Mint. In 1970, millions upon millions of pennies were produced there. So you might be thinking, how can something made in such massive numbers be worth serious money? That's where the magic of coin collecting begins. The 1970 D Lincoln cent was part of the Memorial Reverse series, meaning the back of the coin features the Lincoln Memorial. The design had been introduced in 1959 to celebrate the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. For over 50 years, this reverse would remain a staple in American pockets, but not all 1970 D pennies are created equal. Most examples you'll find are worth only a few cents, maybe $1 or $2 in circulated condition. However, condition is everything in the world of numismatics. Coins that were never circulated, known as mint state coins, can command dramatically higher prices, especially when they display exceptional quality. Now here's where things get exciting. During the minting process, dies are used to strike coins. Over time, these dies wear down, crack, or develop tiny imperfections. Occasionally, a new die is prepared and polished heavily before striking coins. On certain 1970 D pennies, this polishing caused what collectors call a small date variety or other subtle variations in lettering and spacing, while the Philadelphia Mint version of the 1970 penny is famous for its large date and small date varieties. Sharp-eyed collectors have also examined Denver issues closely for strike quality, die condition, and extraordinary preservation. And when a 1970 D penny survives in pristine, blazing red condition, with razor-sharp details, no contact marks, and full mint luster, it becomes something truly special. Professional grading services use a scale from 1 to 70 to evaluate coins. A grade of 70 represents absolute perfection, no visible flaws even under magnification. For modern-era coins like 1970 pennies, reaching the very top of that scale is extraordinarily rare. Most coins were tossed into bags, shipped to banks, dumped into cash registers, and rattled around in pockets. They hit other coins, scraped against metal drawers, and picked up scratches almost immediately. So finding one that somehow escaped circulation for decades, retaining its original brilliance, is like discovering a time capsule from 1970. Think about what was happening in America that year. The nation was in the midst of social change. The Vietnam War dominated headlines. The Apollo program was pushing the boundaries of space exploration. Yet quietly, in Denver, presses were striking humble copper coins that would pass through millions of hands. Few people at the time imagined that one of these everyday pennies could one day be worth more than many used cars. The composition of the 1970 Lincoln cent is primarily copper, 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc. This was before the dramatic composition change in 1982 when rising copper prices forced the mint to shift to a zinc core. That means the 1970 penny contains substantially more intrinsic metal value than modern cents, but the real value isn't in the copper. It's in rarity combined with condition. Collectors look for several characteristics when evaluating a 1970 penny. First, the sharpness of Lincoln's hair details. Are the lines crisp? Is the bow tie clearly defined? Next, the reverse. Are the steps and columns of the Lincoln Memorial strong and complete? Weak strikes can reduce desirability. Color is also critical. Coins are typically categorized as brown, red-brown, or red. A fully red coin with vibrant original mint color is significantly more valuable than one that has darkened over time. Copper reacts with air and moisture, so maintaining that fiery red glow for over 5 decades is uncommon. Storage matters. A coin placed directly into circulation begins its journey of wear instantly. But coins saved in original mint rolls, sealed away in drawers, or preserved in protective holders can remain stunningly fresh. Some collectors search through original bank-wrapped rolls from 1970 hoping to uncover high-grade gems. It's a treasure hunt that requires patience, knowledge, and sometimes luck. Now imagine this scenario: a collector carefully submits a flawless 1970 penny to a major grading service. Under magnification, experts inspect every surface. They look for microscopic abrasions, planchet defects, and strike weakness. After thorough analysis, they assign it an elite mint state grade near the top of the scale. When such a coin appears at auction, serious collectors take notice. Competitive bidding can drive the price far beyond what most people ever expect for a 1-cent coin, and that's how a humble penny transforms into a headline-grabbing collectible. But before you rush to sell every 1970 penny you find, remember this: the vast majority are common. Condition is king. Authentication is essential. Cleaning a coin can destroy its value instantly. Even wiping it gently can leave hairline scratches that experts spot immediately. If you believe you found an exceptional example, the smartest move is to consult a reputable coin dealer or submit it for professional grading. Never polish it. Never attempt to improve its appearance. Original surfaces are everything. Another factor that can boost value is strong strike quality from fresh dies. Early die state coins often show superior detail. Late die state coins may display cracks or die deterioration, which some collectors also find fascinating. The 1970 Lincoln cent represents more than just copper and metal. It represents opportunity. It reminds us that extraordinary value can hide in ordinary places. Some of the greatest discoveries in coin collecting have come from pocket change, estate sales, or forgotten collections stored in attics for decades. People who take the time to learn, to examine closely, and to understand grading standards are the ones who uncover these hidden treasures. And here's the inspiring truth for anyone between 30 and 65 watching this right now: you don't need to be a millionaire to start. Many successful collectors began with simple rolls of pennies from the bank. Knowledge is your greatest investment. Study mint marks. Learn grading basics. Understand what separates a common coin from a condition rarity. The more you know, the sharper your eye becomes. The 1970 penny may not seem glamorous compared to gold coins or rare silver dollars. But its story proves that even the smallest denomination in American currency can achieve astonishing heights when preserved in extraordinary condition. So tonight, before you ignore that jar of loose change, take a closer look. Separate the copper cents from the newer zinc ones. Check the dates carefully. When you spot 1970, look just beneath the date for that tiny DE. Examine the surfaces under good lighting. Tilt the coin slowly. Watch how the luster flows across the fields. Are there major marks? Is the color vibrant? Are Lincoln's features sharp and bold? We're talking about the 1973 no-mint Mark Lincoln 1-cent penny from the United States of America. At first glance, it looks like any other coin you've seen thousands of times. The familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln. The words "In God We Trust" across the top. Liberty to the left. The date 1973 at the bottom. On the reverse, the Lincoln Memorial design that defined an era of American coinage, but here's what makes it interesting. When a 1973 penny does not have a mint mark under the date, that means it was struck at the Philadelphia Mint. During that time, Philadelphia coins did not carry a mint mark, which makes the absence of a letter completely normal. And that's exactly why so many people ignore them. In 1973, the United States was in a time of economic change. Inflation was rising. The country was transitioning through political uncertainty. Yet the demand for coinage was massive. Billions of pennies were produced to keep commerce moving. Most of them entered circulation, were used daily, and became worn, scratched, and damaged over time. But condition is everything in the coin world. While millions of 1973 Philadelphia pennies were minted, very few survived in pristine, high-grade condition. And when we say high-grade, we mean coins that were never circulated. Coins that never clinked around in pockets. Coins that never slid across store counters. Coins that remain sharp, brilliant, and nearly flawless decades later. Collectors are not just buying age. They are buying rarity and condition. The 1973 no-mint Mark penny was struck in a copper alloy composition, primarily copper with a small percentage of zinc. That warm reddish tone you see on fresh examples is called red luster. Over time, copper reacts with air and moisture, turning brown. So when a coin from 1973 still shines with original red brilliance, collectors take notice. Now let's talk about grading. Professional grading services examine coins under magnification. They evaluate surface preservation, strike quality, luster, and eye appeal. Coins are then assigned a numerical grade on a scale from 1 to 70. A circulated coin might fall in the range of extremely fine or about uncirculated. But the real money appears when a coin reaches mint state grades like MS65, MS66, MS67, and beyond. For a 1973 no-mint Mark Lincoln cent, the difference between MS65 and MS67 can mean thousands of dollars. At MS65, you might have a nice coin with strong luster and minimal marks. At MS67, you are looking at an exceptional coin with nearly flawless surfaces and blazing original color. And here is where it gets exciting. High-grade examples of this coin are incredibly difficult to find because so many were mishandled, stored improperly, or simply spent. The population of top-tier graded coins is tiny compared to the billions originally produced, but condition alone is not the only factor that can increase value. Error coins from 1973 also draw serious attention. Off-center strikes, doubled dies, clipped planchets, and dramatic die cracks can all turn an ordinary penny into a collector's prize. When the die that strikes the coin has imperfections or shifts slightly during production, the result can be visible doubling in the lettering or numbers. On some pieces, you might see separation in the words "In God We Trust" or "Liberty." Collectors love visible, dramatic errors because they are unique. No two error coins are exactly alike. And in a hobby where rarity drives value, uniqueness is power. If you're searching your own change or coin rolls, here's what to look for on a 1973 no-mint Mark penny. First, check the date carefully. Make sure it reads clearly 1973 and confirm there is no letter beneath it. That indicates Philadelphia origin. Second, examine the surfaces under good lighting. Tilt the coin slowly and look for original red luster. A bright, fiery copper glow is far more desirable than dull brown. Third, inspect for marks. Fewer contact marks mean a higher potential grade. Fourth, look for doubling in the lettering or unusual features that seem out of place. You might be wondering, can a coin that common really be worth serious money? The answer depends entirely on condition and rarity within grade. While most 1973 Philadelphia pennies in circulated condition are worth only a few cents to perhaps a small premium, superb gem examples in top grades have reached astonishing levels at auction. When collectors compete for the finest known examples, bidding can escalate quickly. It only takes two determined buyers who want the best, and that's the key lesson for anyone between the ages of 30 and 65 who has been holding onto old coins. Value is not about face value. It is about scarcity, demand, and preservation. Think about how many people casually toss pennies into jars without ever examining them. Think about how many inherited coin collections sit untouched in closets. Within those collections could be coins that were set aside decades ago and forgotten, still in remarkable condition. Sometimes the greatest treasures are hiding in plain sight. The 1973 no-mint Mark Lincoln cent represents a fascinating chapter in American numismatic history. The Lincoln Memorial reverse design, introduced in 1959, honored the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. That design continued until 2008. For nearly 50 years, it was the face of American small change. Collectors who grew up in the 1970s remember these pennies vividly. They were part of everyday life. And now, over 50 years later, they are becoming vintage pieces of history. As time passes, high-grade survivors become even more desirable because they cannot be recreated. The mint no longer produces copper pennies in that original composition. In 1982, the composition shifted to primarily zinc with a thin copper plating. That makes pre-1982 copper cents even more appealing to some collectors, but let's talk strategy. If you want to potentially profit, never clean a coin. Cleaning removes original surfaces and can dramatically reduce value. Even light polishing can leave hairline scratches visible under magnification. Store coins in protective holders. Keep them away from humidity. Handle them by the edges. If you believe you have a truly exceptional example, consider professional grading. Certification can provide authentication, protection, and credibility when selling. Auctions are often where record prices are realized. Competitive bidding environments allow rare, top-grade coins to reach their full market potential. Imagine discovering that a coin you once considered insignificant could help fund a dream, pay off debt, or boost your savings. That possibility is what drives so many people to re-examine their change. But remember, knowledge is your greatest advantage. Understanding mint marks, grading, composition, and errors separates informed sellers from those who unknowingly spend valuable coins. The 1973 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny teaches an important lesson: common does not always mean worthless. Billions were made, yes. But perfection is rare. And rarity and perfection is what collectors chase. So tonight, before you dismiss that jar of pennies, take a closer look. Use a magnifying glass. Study the date. Check for that missing mint mark. Look for brilliance and sharp detail. And that treasure is the 1978 no-mint Mark Lincoln 1-cent penny from the United States of America. At first glance, the 1978 Lincoln cent looks simple. On the front, you see the familiar portrait of President Abraham Lincoln. On the back, you see the Lincoln Memorial, standing proud and detailed. It does not shine like gold. It does not sparkle like silver. Yet for serious collectors and experienced coin hunters, this humble penny can represent something far more powerful than its face value of 1 cent. The 1978 Lincoln cent belongs to the long-running Lincoln Memorial series that began in 1959 and continued until 2008. The obverse design was created by Victor David Brenner, whose initials VDB can be found at the bottom of the portrait. The reverse design featuring the Lincoln Memorial was created by Frank Casparo. For nearly half a century, this design became one of the most recognized coin images in American history. Now let us talk about what makes the 1978 no-mint mark penny special. When you see a Lincoln cent without a mint mark, it means the coin was struck at the Philadelphia Mint. In 1978, the Philadelphia Mint did not place a mint mark on Lincoln cents. So every 1978 penny without a mint mark comes from Philadelphia. Millions upon millions of these coins were produced. In fact, the mintage was enormous. Because of this, most 1978 pennies you find in circulation today are only worth face value. You can still find them in rolls from the bank, in old jars, or mixed in collections. But here is where things become interesting. Condition is everything. For collectors in the United States, especially those between 30 and 65 who are now searching through inherited coin jars, estate collections, and forgotten piggy banks, the real value lies not in the date alone, but in the condition and potential errors. The 1978 Lincoln cent was struck in a composition of 95% copper and 5% zinc. That gives the coin its rich reddish-brown color when preserved properly. Over time, exposure to air and handling causes the surface to darken. Collectors classify these coins into three main color categories: red, red-brown, and brown. The most valuable examples are those graded red, meaning they retain nearly all of their original mint luster. If you find a 1978 penny with no mint mark that looks bright, sharp, and nearly flawless, you may be holding something far more valuable than you think. Professional grading companies such as PCGS and NGC use a numerical scale from 1 to 70 to determine a coin's condition. A coin graded MS65 is considered gem uncirculated. A coin graded MS67 is considered superb gem. But once you move into MS68 territory, you are talking about extreme rarity in terms of preservation. Most 1978 pennies were handled, spent, and circulated. Very few were carefully preserved in rolls or mint sets and remained untouched for decades. That is why high-grade examples are scarce today. Now let us explore errors, because this is where excitement truly begins. Error coins occur during the minting process. These are not damages that happen after the coin leaves the mint. True mint errors can significantly increase value. For the 1978 Lincoln cent, collectors look for several specific types of errors. First, double die errors. These occur when the die used to strike the coin has a slight misalignment during creation, causing letters or numbers to appear doubled. You may notice doubling in the word liberty, in the date 1978, or in the phrase "In God we trust." Strong doubling that is visible without magnification can command impressive premiums. Second, off-center strikes. If the coin was not properly centered during striking, part of the design may be missing. Depending on how dramatic the off-center strike is and whether the date remains visible, the value can rise significantly. Third, clipped planchets. These occur when the metal blank was improperly cut, leaving a curved or straight missing section on the coin. Authentic clipped planchet errors are highly collectible. Fourth, die cracks and cuts. These appear as raised lines or blobs on the coin's surface caused by damaged dies. Some collectors specifically hunt dramatic die breaks because they are unique and eye-catching. For someone searching through rolls of pennies or old collections, spotting one of these errors can feel like striking gold in a copper coin. But let us return to the standard 1978 no mint mark penny in exceptional condition. Because while error coins can be valuable, the highest prices are often achieved by coins in extraordinary mint state grades. Imagine a coin struck in 1978 that was immediately placed into a roll and never touched by human hands for decades. No fingerprints. No scratches. No dulling of luster. When such a coin is submitted for professional grading and receives an ultra-high grade like MS68 red, it becomes a condition rarity. Condition rarity means that although millions were produced, almost none survive in that pristine state today. Auction records show that collectors are willing to compete aggressively for top population coins. Registry set collectors especially drive prices higher. These collectors aim to assemble the finest possible graded sets of Lincoln cents. If only a few examples exist at the highest grade, demand can exceed supply dramatically. For the average viewer watching this video, you might be wondering, could I really find one of these? The answer is yes, but it requires patience, knowledge, and careful inspection. Start by examining your coins under good lighting. Use a magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe with at least 5x to 10x magnification. Look for strong mint luster, minimal contact marks, and sharp details in Lincoln's hair and beard. Check the reverse for clean steps and defined columns in the Lincoln Memorial. Avoid cleaning your coins. Cleaning destroys value instantly. Even if a coin looks dull or dirty, professional collectors prefer original surfaces over artificially brightened ones. If you believe you have an exceptional example, consider submitting it to a reputable grading service. The cost of grading can be worth it if the coin truly qualifies for a high mint state grade. Now let us talk numbers, because that is what everyone wants to hear. Most circulated 1978 no mint mark pennies are worth 1 cent to a few cents. Even uncirculated examples in lower mint state grades might sell for only a few dollars, but when you step into the highest certified grades, the story changes dramatically. There have been auction appearances where superb gem examples have sold for hundreds and even thousands of dollars, depending on eye appeal and certification. The highest graded known examples have achieved astonishing prices because of their rarity at that level of preservation, and this is where the dream becomes real. A 1978 no mint mark Lincoln 1 cent penny in extraordinary mint state condition, graded among the finest known examples, has reached a recorded sale price of $76,745. Let that sink in. A single penny, less than an inch wide, once exchanged for candy or dropped into a cash register. And yet, in the right condition, it has commanded $76,745. This is why coin collecting is not just a hobby. It is an opportunity. It is history in your hands. It is the possibility that the smallest denomination in American currency can transform into a life-changing asset. For those of you between 30 and 65 watching this, you may have jars of old coins at home. You may have inherited collections from parents or grandparents. You may have boxes stored in closets for decades. Instead of ignoring them, take the time to examine them carefully. Learn the grading standards. Study known error varieties. Compare your coins to certified examples. The knowledge you gain today could uncover a hidden treasure tomorrow. The 1978 no mint mark Lincoln cent reminds us that value is not always obvious. Sometimes it hides in plain sight. Sometimes it waits quietly for someone curious enough to look closer. So tonight, before you dismiss that old penny as worthless, hold it up to the light. Look at Lincoln's profile. Check the date. Examine the surfaces. Because you never know. The coin resting in your palm could be worth far more than 1 cent. We're diving deep into the United States of America 1979 no mint mark Lincoln 1 cent penny, a coin that many people overlook, ignore, or even spend without thinking twice. But for collectors and smart sellers, this humble penny can carry surprising value. The 1979 Lincoln penny may not seem special at first glance. It's common. It's familiar. It's the kind of coin that passed through millions of hands during grocery store transactions, gas station stops, and pocket change exchanges across America. But when you slow down and examine it closely, you begin to realize that not all 1979 pennies are created equal. Let's start with the basics. The 1979 Lincoln 1 cent penny features the iconic portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse. This portrait, designed by Victor David Brenner, has been a symbol of American coinage since 1909. On the reverse, you'll find the Lincoln Memorial design, which was introduced in 1959 to commemorate Lincoln's 150th birthday. This design was used until 2008, making the 1979 penny part of a long and historic series. Now here's where things get interesting. When we talk about a 1979 penny with no mint mark, we're referring to coins that were struck at the Philadelphia Mint. During that time, Philadelphia coins typically did not carry a mint mark. So if you look under the date and you do not see a small letter such as D or S, you're holding a Philadelphia issue. In 1979, the Philadelphia Mint produced hundreds of millions of pennies. On the surface, that might make the coin seem too common to ever be valuable. But rarity in the coin world doesn't always mean low mintage. Sometimes, value comes from condition. Sometimes, it comes from errors. And sometimes, it comes from tiny details that most people never notice. The 1979 penny is composed primarily of copper, with a small percentage of zinc. This was before the major composition change in 1982, when the mint shifted to a zinc core with copper plating. Because of its copper content, the 1979 penny has a weight of approximately 3.11 grams. This is important because serious collectors always verify weight when searching for valuable varieties or potential mint errors. Let's talk about condition, because this is where serious money begins to enter the conversation. Most 1979 no-mint mark pennies you find in circulation today will be heavily worn. They've been used, scratched, and dulled by decades of handling. In circulated condition, these coins are generally worth only face value or slightly more for their copper content. But when you find a 1979 penny in uncirculated condition, everything changes. An uncirculated coin means it has never entered circulation. It still retains its original mint luster. The surfaces are clean. The details are sharp. Lincoln's hairlines are crisp. The steps of the Lincoln Memorial are clearly defined. When graded by professional services such as PCGS or NGC, these coins can achieve high mint state grades, and here's the truth most people don't realize: the difference between a mint state 63 and a mint state 67 coin can mean hundreds or even thousands of dollars. Now let's move into errors and varieties. Mint errors are one of the most exciting aspects of coin collecting. These happen during the striking process. In 1979, like every year, some coins were struck with mistakes. These can include off-center strikes, double strikes, die cracks, clipped planchets, and double dies. One of the most sought-after types of error is a double die. This occurs when the die used to strike the coin has a misalignment during creation, causing certain design elements to appear doubled. On a 1979 penny, you might notice doubling on the date, the word Liberty, or the motto "In God We Trust." Strong, visible doubling can dramatically increase value. Another error to watch for is an off-center strike. If the coin appears misaligned and part of the design is missing due to improper placement during striking, collectors often pay a premium, especially if the date is still visible. There are also transitional and wrong planchet errors, although these are extremely rare. A penny struck on a planchet intended for another denomination would be an extraordinary find, but here's something crucial for sellers and investors: authentication matters. If you believe you found a high-grade or error 1979 no-mint mark penny, do not clean it. Cleaning can permanently damage the surface and destroy collector value. Instead, consider submitting the coin to a professional grading service. A certified grade adds credibility and confidence, especially when selling. Let's discuss why some collectors specifically seek high-grade 1979 pennies. While the mintage numbers were high, surviving coins in pristine condition are much scarcer than you might think. Over decades, many coins were mishandled, stored improperly, or simply spent. Finding a perfectly preserved example with blazing red color and no marks is not easy. That's why registry collectors compete aggressively for the finest known specimens. You open an old bank roll of pennies that's been sitting untouched since 1979. Inside, you find coins that were never circulated. You examine them under magnification. The surfaces shine with original red luster. There are minimal contact marks. You send one for grading, and it comes back with an exceptionally high mint state grade. The coin that most people would dismiss as ordinary can suddenly become a serious collectible. Another factor to consider is market demand. The Lincoln Cent series is one of the most widely collected coin series in American history. Millions of collectors build complete date and mint sets. That constant demand keeps strong prices for top-quality coins, and here's something important for viewers in the 30 to 65 age range who are thinking about selling old coins. The coin market rewards patience and knowledge. Many people rush to sell coins at pawn shops or local buyers without understanding their true worth. Doing your homework, studying grading standards, and understanding error types can mean the difference between pocket change and life-changing money. The 1979 no-mint mark Lincoln penny represents opportunity. Not every coin will be valuable. In fact, most won't be. But the possibility is real, and that's what makes coin hunting so powerful. Start by checking your change. Look at the date. Confirm there is no mint mark under the year. Examine the coin's condition under bright light. Look for doubling, unusual marks, or striking errors. Weigh the coin if you have a precise scale. And if something looks different, don't ignore it. Collectors across the United States are constantly searching for top-grade examples. Auction records have shown that when a 1979 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny reaches an elite mint state grade with exceptional eye appeal, it can command astonishing results. A single copper coin that once bought a piece of candy could now represent a significant financial asset. That's the power of numismatics, but remember, knowledge is your greatest tool. Study the series. Compare your coin to certified examples online. Learn how grading works. The more informed you are, the more confident you become when buying or selling. There is also an emotional connection with Lincoln cents. For generations, Americans have carried Abraham Lincoln in their pockets. These coins passed through historic decades, from the late 70s into the technological age. They are small pieces of history that survived inflation, economic shifts, and cultural change. We are diving into a coin that millions of Americans have held in their hands, tossed into jars, dropped into tip trays, and overlooked for decades. Yet hidden among ordinary pocket change could be a small copper treasure, the 1979 Lincoln 1-cent penny. That if you are between 30 and 65 years old, if you have old coin jars in your basement, if you inherited coins from parents or grandparents, or if you simply dream about turning forgotten change into serious money, then stay with me. Because this humble penny might be far more powerful than you think. The 1979 Lincoln cent was struck at the famous Denver Mint in the United States of America. The small D mint mark just below the date tells us it was produced in Denver. That single letter can make all the difference when collectors begin searching for high-grade examples and rare errors. This coin features one of the most recognizable faces in American history, President Abraham Lincoln. The obverse design was created by Victor David Brenner and has appeared on the Lincoln cent since 1909. On the reverse of the 1979 penny, you will find the Lincoln Memorial, a design introduced in 1959 to commemorate Lincoln's 150th birthday. Now here is where things become interesting. In 1979, the Denver Mint produced billions of Lincoln cents. That sounds like too many to ever be valuable. And for most circulated examples, that's true. A worn 1979 penny found in everyday pocket change is usually worth only face value. But we are not here to talk about ordinary coins. We are here to talk about condition, rarity within grade, and mint errors. Condition is everything in coin collecting. A 1979 Lincoln cent that has never been circulated, meaning it shows no wear, full mint luster, sharp details, and strong eye appeal, can be worth significantly more than one that has been passed around for decades. Collectors use grading scales from poor all the way to mint state 70. The difference between a coin graded mint state 63 and one graded mint state 67 can mean the difference between a few dollars and hundreds, sometimes even thousands. But why would someone pay big money for a 1979 penny? The answer lies in scarcity at the highest grades. Even though billions were minted, very few survive in flawless condition. Tiny contact marks, weak strikes, and dull surfaces are common on 1979 Denver cents. Finding one that is sharply struck with blazing red luster and virtually no imperfections is extremely difficult, and then we move into the world of color designation. Lincoln cents are often categorized as brown, or red. A fully red coin, meaning it retains its original bright copper color without oxidation, is the most desirable. Time turns copper darker. So when a 1979 penny remains fiery red decades later, collectors pay attention. Now let's talk about errors. Mint errors can transform an ordinary coin into a highly sought-after collectible. In 1979 Lincoln cents, collectors search for off-center strikes, double strikes, clipped planchets, and especially double die varieties. A double die occurs when the coin's design is impressed twice slightly misaligned, creating visible doubling in letters or numbers. Not machine doubling, which is common and usually minor, but true double die errors created during the die manufacturing process. If you examine the date, 1979, and the word Liberty under magnification and notice strong, separated doubling, you may be holding something special. Another valuable variety collectors look for is die cracks and cuts, raised lines or blobs of metal caused by damaged dies. While minor cracks may add small premiums, dramatic cuts can attract serious collector interest. There are also broad strikes, where the coin was struck without a proper collar, making it slightly larger than normal. These pieces stand out instantly when compared to a regular penny. imagine searching through a simple jar of coins and discovering one of these errors. It has happened before. It can happen again, but even without dramatic errors, the true money lies in pristine, certified condition. Professional grading services authenticate and encapsulate coins, giving them official grades. Once a 1979 D Lincoln cent achieves a top population grade, meaning very few exist at that level, competition among collectors increases dramatically. Why? Because registry collectors compete to own the finest known examples of each year and mint mark. When population reports show only a handful graded at the highest levels, bidding wars can begin. This is where ordinary pocket change crosses into extraordinary value. Many people assume that only ancient coins or gold pieces can be worth serious money. But modern coins in exceptional condition can shock the market. That if you are searching for one, here is what to do. Start by checking the mint mark. Under the date on the obverse, look for the small d. Next, inspect the coin under bright light. Tilt it slowly. Look for full original luster that flows evenly across the surface. Check Lincoln's cheek and jawline for marks. These are focal points graders examine closely, then flip the coin over. Examine the Lincoln Memorial. Are the columns sharp and defined? Can you see detail inside the central area? Weak strikes reduce value. Sharp strikes increase it. If the coin appears flawless, avoid touching the surfaces. Hold it only by the edges. Place it in a protective holder. Consider professional grading if it truly looks exceptional. Now let's be realistic. Most 1979 D pennies in circulation are common. But here is the truth that keeps collectors searching. Rarity exists within condition. Out of billions struck, only a microscopic fraction survive in elite grades, and those few coins are the ones that can command astonishing prices at auction. Think about that for a moment. A single cent, 1/100th of a dollar, transforming into a collector's prize worth more than most people expect. The key is patience. The key is knowledge. The key is attention to detail. Many valuable coins were discovered not by professional dealers, but by ordinary people who decided to look closely at their change. You might have inherited rolls of pennies. You might have coffee cans filled with coins from the 1970s. Instead of ignoring them, examine them, because the market for high-grade Lincoln cents remains strong. Collectors who grew up in the 1960s and 1970s now have disposable income. They seek the finest examples of coins from their childhood. Nostalgia drives demand, and when demand meets extreme scarcity in top grades, prices rise. The 1979 D Lincoln cent represents an era before the composition change of 1982. These pennies are primarily copper, giving them weight, color, and classic appeal. Many collectors prefer the solid feel of these earlier cents compared to modern zinc issues. So what separates a valuable 1979 D penny from an ordinary one? It comes down to four powerful factors: mint state preservation, full original red color, sharp strike quality, documented rarity, and top certified grades. Combine all four, and you may be looking at something extraordinary. But remember, condition must be nearly perfect. Even tiny nicks can reduce grade significantly. That is why most examples are modestly priced, while a microscopic elite group reaches impressive auction records. If you are serious about searching, invest in a good magnifying glass, proper lighting, and patience. Learn the difference between true double dies and common machine doubling. Study high-resolution images of certified coins so you understand what top quality looks like. Knowledge protects you from overestimating ordinary pieces and helps you recognize true gems. And here is something else to consider: the coin market moves in cycles. When interest surges, registry competition intensifies. When competition intensifies, record prices are set. A coin once ignored can suddenly become a headline piece. That is why checking your 1979 D Lincoln cents today could be more important than ever. Some collectors spend decades building sets. They need the finest known example for each year. If population reports show only a few coins graded at the absolute top, demand concentrates on those pieces, and when two determined buyers want the same coin, the auction hammer can fall at numbers that surprise the world. Imagine discovering that a simple penny sitting in your drawer could fund travel, investments, or a lifestyle upgrade. It starts with looking. It starts with learning. It starts with believing that small things can hold big value. Most people overlook pennies. Smart collectors inspect them. So tonight, open that jar. Pour those coins onto a soft cloth. Separate the 1979 pennies. Look for the D mint mark. Examine each one carefully.